Alright guys, we're back in my garage with the B58 Digest, and this week I have a few more topics that I want to discuss. But the first thing that I want to mention is that, I really do appreciate the support from everybody for this series of videos that I've been making. And honestly, I did not plan on making it this frequently, but the only reason I'm able to is because a lot of you submit ideas and let me know news and updates that you see coming from different areas of the internet and things like that. And I do everything that I can to keep up with it as much as possible, but I do appreciate you guys sending in topics or commenting things down below that you want me to discuss. So definitely continue doing that. And anybody that's not or feels shy, feel free. If somebody's already submitted it to me, it's no big deal. The more information, the better. So again, thanks to everybody that's submitting ideas, and let's hop into this week's topics. The first thing that we're going to discuss is an update from Pro Tuning Freaks. And they actually posted some information on various social media indicating that they're working hard on development for the custom ROM platform on the Gen 2 B58. And for those of you that don't know, custom ROM is basically their setup for all of the advanced features that come with their tuning software. So right now you basically have to flash your map for any change that you want to make, as far as, changing for how much ethanol content you have, or adjusting, any map settings that you want. And using the custom ROM setup, you'll be able to change a lot of those settings on the fly. And, there are a bunch of different things that this enables, but some of the big ones, for example, is the actual map switching. So you'll be able to switch between maps on your steering wheel. And if you go from, 91 octane to 93 octane, or maybe an ethanol mix, you can change that. Or you might have like a high boost and a low boost map from your custom tuner, so you can switch between those. So obviously that's very beneficial. It's also going to include anti-lag support, so especially for people like me with bigger turbos, you'll be able to spool up your turbo on a roll or on a launch to help you have more boost on the hit. So that'll give you a nice performance benefit. And then the big grand one that pretty much everybody's waiting for is flex fuel. And I'm going to talk about this more in like a dedicated video in the future for those of you that are wondering why flex fuel is important and what that actually adds to you as far as, improving your user experience. But if that's a really big deal to help make things like mixing ethanol and calculating content at the pump much more simple. So I'm really excited to see this. It's something that they've had out for the S55 and N55 engines already. So it's finally coming to the B58. Some people have asked me why it's going for the TU engines first instead of the Gen 1, because they did the N55 and S55, and then they kind of skipped the Gen 1 B58 and went straight to the TUs. But the reason why they're doing that is because they have a shop car that has the TU engine. And for those of you that don't know, you can follow this car on Instagram. They have basically all of their development work being documented on there. It's Babaroga Z4 on Instagram, and I follow the account, and it's pretty cool to see somebody doing that with the Z4, just because, it's obviously pretty much the same platform as the Supra, but nobody modifies them and tries to make them fast like the A90s. So this is one that you can see just from the pictures. It's getting ready to get pretty rowdy, and they're going full send with it. And it also gives them a great opportunity to do their software development. So that's why it's going to the TU engines first. Expected to come to the Gen 1 B58 soon thereafter, but it's nice to actually see an update specifying with screenshots that they are specifically working on our engines now. Everybody's going to keep telling you, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, it's coming soon. But now we have some real evidence that they got some traction and it's coming to us. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is TX2K, and this is primarily for everybody watching in the United States. So most of you know what TX2K is, but for those that don't, it was a meet that was started by Mark IV Supras maybe like 10 or 15 years ago. And what they would do is basically host this event for all of the Supras to come down and race each other down in Texas. But it also was a big opportunity for other cars to come and try to race the nation's fastest Supras. So it was a really big deal, and over time it kind of shifted focus from the Supras a little more to the GTRs, just because, the R35 started getting really fast and they really began dominating that event. So now they kind of have super classes for the event and GTR classes for the event. And of course, a lot of racing going on at night between the two, as well as all the other cars that come down there for the same meet. But now they've also added an A90 class for the new Supras. So that's pretty cool. They get to carry on that legacy, and all of the B58 cars get to battle each other. But in reality, it wasn't all B58 cars, it was only for A90s. And over time, the competition got so stiff that people stopped participating. So, now we've got several cars running eights pretty consistently. And you can imagine you've got a pretty fast Supra, but if you're only running like a 9.5, you're probably not going to win that event. And so it just kind of started making people pull back, and a lot of these shop cars that were dominating are pretty much the only ones staying in rotation through these different 2K events. So unfortunately, participation dropped, and now we're at risk of losing this class. And what they're doing now to try to improve participation is expanding that group to outside of just A90s. So now, instead of it being an A90 shootout, it is a 58 shootout. And what that means is any BMW engine that ends with 58 is allowed to participate in that class. So that includes M340Is, 340Is, Gen 1 and Gen 2 B58s, and even S58 cars. So M3s, M4s, X3Ms. Any car where the engine code ends in 58 is allowed to participate. So this is kind of exciting, right? Because we have a lot of fast BMWs, and we will have a lot of fast M3 and M4s by then, I'm sure. And that's going to be really exciting to see everybody competing against each other. But I highly recommend that if you're in the area or even just interested in participating, sign up, go down there and race. Even if you don't think you'll win a trophy or set, new records and stuff, go down there, have fun, meet some people, and help keep this class alive. Because this competition is a part of what helps us get to these new records, getting new parts and new support from other aftermarket companies. When they see participation and engagement in these kinds of events, it just supports the whole community. So it's exciting to see that hopefully this can turn around and include a lot more cars, especially BMWs like mine being in the class. And hopefully we see, everything turn around next year. Otherwise we might lose the class. So definitely consider participating if you're in Texas. And the same thing is expected to happen in Florida next year at FL2K. So just keep your eye out for that. Sign up and get your car out there and go have some fun racing other S58 and B58 cars. So that's all that we have for this week. And again, thanks to everybody that's been submitting ideas and sharing posts with me. If there are any other topics that you want me to touch on, just leave a comment down below. Feel free to share posts with me on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you see stuff that you think might be interesting for a topic in one of these videos. So thanks for watching, and if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.